All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending the open house for MoodleNews.com. My name is Eric Layton. Presenting with me is going to be Joseph Thibault. I'm going to run through a little quick explanation of the diagnostics. If you have any questions, obviously just use your chat interface, and I will ask them throughout the presentation. Okay, we're going to switch screens here. If you haven't already dialed into the audio bridge, please do so now. You can also use your computer's integrated audio to listen in. During the call, every attendee is going to be on mute. Like I said before, if you'd like to submit questions, please do so using the webinar's control chat interface, and I will ask them throughout the presentation. I think that works best to ask them throughout rather than at the end, and it's kind of a little bit more relevant to the person asking the question. So let's get started. Right here is the snapshot on Latona's. It has the financial, traffic, pricing, site visibility, domain, annual revenue, close to 12,000, annual expenses just over 2, and annual profit close to 10. Monthly page views, 110,000 of 42,000 uniques, and Google PageRank number 5. Seller is obviously open to offers. The listing price is $59,000, and the Google PageRank again 5. Alexa PageRank 229,000. Domain is site's about 5 years old, a little bit under, and that's basically just a snapshot of what you can see on our site, latonas.com. Joseph, tell us a little bit about this page and what we're seeing.
Sure. This is the main page. So MoodleNews.com is a blog. This is the main page of the blog. I would say this is kind of the front page that we have in terms of like a newspaper style layout for any of visitors. So this is just a list of the most recent posts. There's no sticky posts on the page, in addition to the access to the site page hierarchy. So getting to the maybe more static pages where we might have collections of lists, like for mobile apps or for development projects that we have contracted in the past, how to contact, how to sign up for the newsletter, in addition to the static banner ads, which is the revenue source for the site.
Great. Can you give us a little bit of history why you decided to start this site?
Sure. I was working with Moodle starting back in 2007. But working with a company that we were, I was doing a lot of research, but not necessarily kind of I was finding lots of cool stuff about Moodle, which is a learning management system used in higher ed, K-12, kind of worldwide. It's pretty big in, especially in like Australia, New Zealand, the UK. Has a really vibrant community. It's an open source product, so the main site, which is Moodle.org, has about a million plus users, many of which are active on a regular basis using the discussion forums, etc. There are a lot of interesting things that developers and community members are doing in terms of creating videos and tutorials, creating new plugins, kind of extending Moodle, but nobody was talking about that at the time. So from 2007 to 2009 was kind of consistently setting up Google Alerts, getting all sorts of information and researching, finding lots of cool things that were going on in the community, but nobody was talking about those things. So as the e-learning, online learning, learning management system market has grown in the last decade, it really has started to kind of hockey stick up in terms of market adoption. So there's a lot of other learning management systems available on the market. Those all have kind of commercial enterprise marketing efforts behind them. Moodle.org being open source did not have that. Thought that there was a good opportunity where I start a monthly magazine to highlight stuff going on in the community, but that quickly got changed into a blog, which is what Moodle News is. So started I think the first post is from November 11th, 2009, so it is now over 5 years old. And then it kind of really picked up the number of posts in or around kind of January timeframe. Started by posting maybe 3 posts a day, I had such a backlog of like bookmarks, pages, and all sorts of resources and videos and collections and all sorts of stuff that wasn't aggregated yet. Started turning out maybe 3 posts daily, and then kind of switched and have been averaging about 5 posts a week for the last 5 years, plus or minus. It was definitely more posts early on, but never spending more than maybe like an hour a day. Really did this and got it all bootstrapped by just waking up a little bit earlier. So that is essentially the history. A lot has changed in terms of how Moodle is an open source product. They've released new versions, and we've been kind of highlighting those things and talking about those things to the community by using the blog as a platform. Most recently, we created when Google RSS, when Google Reader was discontinued last year, we actually took that as an opportunity to parse out all of our email subscriptions by RSS and converted those into a weekly newsletter where we basically summarize the posts that have been published over the past week based on popularity, and use that as fodder in a newsletter that's created and sent to, I think it's over 1,600 subscribers now. That's all organically grown lists. It's not scraped from any sites. It's opt-in, and it's growing by around maybe 40 per month without any additional marketing or anything like that in terms of just being forwarded or being based on users hitting the site and signing up for the newsletter. So there's ad space in the newsletter as well.
Nice. So I have a question, obviously. So you just answered it. Are you monetizing the newsletter? How long have you monetized it for? How successful has it been?
Yep. Yeah. So it's about, we're on I think issue 72 now. So it's been going for over a year, but for probably about September through December, we actually didn't have any ad space. We were just getting the newsletter up and running, creating the templates, making sure that we could, we didn't have like a huge drop or a huge unsubscribe rate. Once that settled, we basically went out to our existing static advertisers on the website and then charged an additional fee for inclusion in the newsletter. That's a growth area, so we even over the last couple of weeks had another advertiser where there's sign up. So we just pay. We charge on a monthly basis, but we bill quarterly.
Nice. All right. The Wayback Machine, showing basically history of this site so far. We see big spikes in 2013. Any explanation for that?
Spare time, maybe. I mean,
Content?
in terms of in terms of content. So set up I would say it's much more in tune. 2013. I'm trying to think back. It's kind of difficult. It really has been a labor of how much free time I have, which is one of the reasons why I think it's time to make an exit. Is I have limited free time. Would love to see this continue to grow. I just don't have the resources, nor do I want to manage somebody in terms of getting more posts up.
Perfect. And then I have a question. Where are you getting that content now? Is it just freelancing? Are you getting it off of other blogs? What are you doing to?
Oh, so it's I would say that the site is much more leaning towards kind of curation. So I'll put a spin on set, but the contents generally I'm going to point users to something that's happened or point them to Moodle.org and give a commentary on why it's important or what how it might be used, or potentially if I have time, we'll download a specific plugin, play around with it and stuff like that. In some cases the Moodle installation process is very easy, similar to WordPress. So you could try out a Moodle plugin in a couple minutes, or go to kind of try out any features at existing sites like demo.moodle.net, where they have all the kind of fancy features for the newest version of Moodle available to try out. But so it's either based on experience or based on research or based on and coming from information. I have about maybe like 130 RSS feeds that I've collected over the last, well, there's maybe even more than that, but basically go through a list of news aggregated, you use it like Feedly, which is similar to Google Reader, to go through posts and see, is this something interesting that I think that it relates to Moodle, but I also think that the audience would find interesting in terms of, is it some novel use, or is it a cool tool, or is it some, extensibility, that feature that has been long sought after. Those are the main ways. Or if I ever get up to, writer's block, the first thing I'll do is just Google, like Google Moodle, switch to the video filter, and look for videos that have been created in the last week or so. And without fail, there is always new content to be found, since the community is very kind of grassroots in terms of how they teach each other, how they build new stuff. One additional resource that I've used is by being a member of Moodle.org. Not only do I contribute and reply to posts there as myself, but it's a great way to get looped in or to subscribe to posts where they use forums, which is part of it. Is actually a Moodle tool. The whole site is a Moodle site. But the forums aspect, you can subscribe to specific threads, so you can get updates on maybe like development projects that are going on. For example, like a new course format being released. Follow that, give updates to that, link the audience members to those areas where they can get more information. So if you look through the site, you'll see this. There's a lot of VO content. There's a lot of other things that I didn't create, but there are just interesting to the community.
Great. So here we see some analytics. Obviously, Joe will include you and share the analytics if you just email me at eric@latonas.com, and he'll share analytics. You can analyze these figures at your convenience. This is just traffic sessions, page views, users over monthly, about a 5-6 month period. This is kind of little demographics. So you're getting a lot of U.S. visitors. The great thing is that it is kind of a world tool, a world program, and looks like you got a nice little spread as far as demographics around the world, as far as continents go as well. So nice to see. Does it have a question here? Does Moodle have a large U.S. Subscription base, or do you get a lot? So you are getting a lot of U.S. traffic.
Yeah, and if anecdotally, I know I've gone through the email list, for example. So not based on this, is you'd see 33% traffic, and there's a big user base in the States. There are annual events which is called a Moodle Moot that happen on a regular basis. The last one I went to one this year in Montana, but they're all over. Moodle headquarters will be running one this coming year, and that's kind of an official Moodle Moot that's coming to town. But it probably will bring maybe 1,000 people together in some area some location yet to be determined. But that will be it kind of is just speaking to the fact that there is a lot of Moodle usage in the States, and there's Moodle partners such as Moodle Rooms, Remote Learner. There are corporations here that are actively selling that. Blackboard actually bought Moodle Rooms a couple of years ago, so Blackboard is in and selling Moodle as one of its enterprise products. In terms of the email list, I can tell you that looking through, I see a lot of .edu emails. So those are generally all U.S. based. So there's a good representation of colleges and universities that you have heard of, which have either staff members or students or administrators that are subscribed to the blog.
Okay, great. All right, here's some more Google Analytics. Again, direct referral, organic search, social media. Question here, how is your social media proliferation? How are you on social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc.?
Sure, and actually, I'm on Twitter. I don't use it very frequently. I don't do a lot of like reposts or anything like that. It's set up automatically to post to Twitter whenever I make a new post on the blog. So all new content is sent out. Generally, and I schedule and usually use WordPress to schedule it, so I don't have 2 posts going out at the same time, just to sustain traffic on a daily basis. I don't use Google Plus, and I don't have Facebook. Those are things I've kind of thought about, but it's not wasn't the highest on my list. I really have been more focused on the content generation than trying to maximize kind of social impact.
Sure. Here's some Majestic SEO analytics. Basically just showing backlinks. Got a healthy amount of backlinks. Those are all organic, I'm assuming.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looks like it's all basically relative, the backlinks to Moodle. Social, science, education, lots of education backlinks, etc. So that's nice. And more Majestic SEO analytics. This is a free, obviously most of you know Majestic SEO. You can go there for free and analyze any of these analytics for this site. And here's just an example of a typical backlink, Moodle.org, which brings me to a question I haven't asked yet that was just related about 5 minutes ago. Who are your competitors, and do you have any competitors? Where are you in the kind of the ranking of your competitors as far as Moodle resource?
Sure. I'm not sure if there are. I guess it may be naive of me to say that there are no competitors, but there are other bloggers out there that cover Moodle-related stuff, and they do really interesting things. They often will actually link to each other in some cases, to try to, if they do something cool, I'll either like retweet it or something like that, or if they do something, they call attention to some aspect of Moodle, if it's relevant and I think not at risk of like just kind of parroting what they're saying. If there's another spin or something else they didn't cover on it, I'll definitely make use of that information as well, just to make sure that my audience is also seeing it. In terms of other competition, there's, I guess it depends in terms of like this is pretty specific to Moodle, so there's probably kind of competitors in other spaces like that are focused on like Canvas learning management system instead, but not to my knowledge. So, that other places that you could go if you're just a layperson looking for the same information, Moodle.org would be a great aspect, and then there's Moodle Trust, which owns the Moodle trademark in terms of for like providing hosting and development. They have a site called Moodle.com where they also have like Moodle Buzz, which is announcements on like stuff that comes kind of mainstream, but it's pretty sporadic in terms of like what posts are there. That's actually the reason why I got into this in the very first place, is to because they were not promoting Moodle adequately.
Nice. Some SEMrush statistics, just showing basically live data from traffic again through 6 months. It looks like it just holds really, really steady. Little slight dips, and I'm sure that's content dips. But it looks like, relative to content or lack thereof, it just holds really steady no matter what. So that's a good sign. And here's just unique traffic. It looks like we had kind of a large jump up in the last, since about June.
Yeah, and it's actually settled back down. I think it's a bit of a product of, we also saw a jump in bounce rate, which correlates to the same jump here. The uniques are higher than back in May, but it has come down a bit. So the 40K is certainly very high.
Right.
We just see a lot of traffic during that period too. But the traffic does continue, as a baseline, continues to grow. Uniques continue to grow. But this spike from, I guess, July, August, September, and October has come down a bit. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was a crawler picked up a certain term or there's something in the, but it's also contributes to the kind of the higher bounce rate. So,
Okay.
but those things should settle out. But it's overall continued growth as long as continuing to post.
Perfect. Yeah, content drives traffic for sure. And then here's page views. Obviously, usually double to triple uniques. So good. Following the same kind of chart. Okay. Can you tell us what this page is showing?
Sure. This is we use your mailing list provider to send our weekly newsletter. It's a simple template, so it's pretty easy to plug in the information. So usually I go through and switch around the ad banner so that there's a new. Basically, the banners, you can see just the top of the right side. It actually looks very similar to the regular blog template theme as well. But there's ad banners that run down the side length of the newsletter. Those are rotated on a weekly basis just to keep things a little bit fresh. And then basically we plug in the most popular posts and give a little commentary on each, linking directly to the blog. So it's just a way to keep information. There's a couple different sections. I've actually been putting more time into thinking about ways to kind of use this space more. But definitely you could have multiple templates on a regular basis. Right now we've just been using this simple template, which is will be provided. It's really easy to use. It's all WYSIWYG in terms of the using a text editor to kind of make those edits. I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks. Prior to that was paying somebody to do it, but probably way overpaying them after I figured out that it only took me about 30 minutes to kind of do the whole process. So
There you go.
very, very easy to use.
Keeping costs down. And what are we looking at here? Obviously another mailing list management.
Same dashboard system. This provides, so your mailing list provider, they have a main dashboard, provides analytics on open rate, click rate, stuff like that, which by and large kind of blowing industry standards out of the water in terms of our open rate and click-through rate. It's much higher. When I did a comparison to for the education industry, did a comparison to my day job. So we get really good response from the newsletter, or based on the subscriber list that we have.
Do you have stats of that click rate?
Yeah, so it's available through the dashboard. I have a synopsis for kind of the last 3 quarters I can provide as an Excel spreadsheet.
Perfect. Do you know it? Do you know them offhand, percentage-wise? Just ask them.
I can look it up really quickly.
Okay.
If you want to move to the
Sure.
next, I can just bring it up.
And then obviously this looks like comments, user reviews, I'm assuming?
Yes, this is comments to the blog basically. So try to reply to those if I know additional information. We get a lot of kind of thanks or requests for other additional information, or often if we'll post something about a plugin, we might have a user ask a question about the plugin, and luckily we're frequented by the developers in the community, so that answer right on the blog, which actually is that's
really nice.
Huge for kind of organic, is that it becomes a real resource to the community where they can find answers to.
So it's almost like free admin of your blog by the actual people.
Yeah, it's been great. So our open rate on average, and this is looking from through September. So I don't have it yet for from September to today, but it's 37.37% open rate, and our click-through rate is about 11%.
Nice, really nice. And the standard is that you're comparing it to?
Lower. Yeah, lower. When I mentioned these to our newsletter marketer, they were astounded.
Wow.
I think it was like a 3% open rate.
Oh, wow. Really nice.
And I misspoke. It's actually 11.74% click rate.
All right. Looks like a more community forum. Is this what this is? Blog?
Yeah, so the site's real simple. I mean, it's just a WordPress site. So what we're seeing is just a list of this is all posts. So this is how this is the content that's, this is all my archives of past posts, which could be retooled and re-released, or, sometimes they need to be updated and kind of republished on the site to make them fresher, especially as Moodle versions change, information changes that pertains to the sites as well. So we're well over 2,000 posts, and lots and lots of comments from the community on those. But it is not a complex website. We're using a stock WordPress with a couple main plugins, mostly unpaid. That we do use a security plugin called Security to make sure we can monitor admin logins and stuff like that, and look for malicious content or cross-scripting or something like that. And then otherwise, everything I think is free. The news magazine theme is kind of integral to the site. That gives us the opportunity to do the ad banners and stuff like that. So
Great. So you definitely recycle some posts and just make them a little bit more relevant for the actual day you're releasing it, but you go back in and recycle one of those or a few of those 2,000 posts every so often?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't had to because there's so much content out there, but it certainly would be, I could definitely go through that and spend maybe, an extra 15 minutes every morning and make sure we're doing 3 posts every day, but it's not something I need to do. This is just typical blog post editing screen. So it's a simple HTML text area. What you type in looks is very similar to Word in terms of formatting. You can add pictures. You can do left, right, justification, different header styles, etc. It's also where you would set any hashtags. One of the key ways to get people to click on your links is Moodle hashtag. So anybody looking for that or anybody kind of queued into that would be able to, they'd see that information running through their Twitter feed and be able to click on Moodle News. But we have maybe over 8,000 Twitter followers, which I think is one of the main, which is a great asset to the site. Drives a lot of traffic, so we get a lot of followers kind of clicking on each of our tweets and accessing the site that way. So this is the way to kind of clue them in that it's something that would be relevant to them. Yeah.
Nice. And again, more back end.
Yep. Yeah. So just looking at it's a little bit of HTML in order to put the ads on the site. So we're usually using a static or a GIF, or like a JPEG or a PNG, and those are just put in with some simple source code. If you actually were to go, we use some simple tables and stuff. Nothing difficult in terms of like setting it up, and really you could actually just replace URLs. In order to like swap out ads or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's basically you can copy and paste and have those on file and just regurgitate the new URL. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
And this is a plugin for WordPress?
Yep. So related posts, just ways to get people kind of clicking on different pages on the site. As of when I mentioned the higher bounce rate we saw, when the bounce rate went up with that, I don't know if it was like a SEO or caused by whatever, but our page views per user went down, but the page views per user has always generally been really healthy. Like, actually I can pull it up for a recent quarter. But it's something that we always provide to our advertisers as kind of a update on how we're doing in terms of traffic. So they're interested in that. They definitely want to know what that is like. Keep doing the search, but let's see if I can find a
Sticky notification bar?
and I've used it as actually additional kind of temporary ad space at the top of the site. So as you start to scroll down, if you're familiar with like TechCrunch or something like that, like there's a new nav bar that kind of appears on the site. So we brought attention to like different events and stuff that we did pro bono. But it is potentially the additional kind of ad space on the site. So our bounce rate historically has been less than 5%. It did go up, like I said, over the last quarter or so, the last 3 months. But before that, we were seeing sub bounce rate of less than 5% and more than 2.5 pages per user. So most people who hit the site, especially those who are returning visitors, are visiting multiple pages. I think that's attributable to the related posts. So they read the posts, they see the related they see related posts or related information at the bottom of that information, and they'll click on more to go to kind of consume additional content.
Great. I have another question. As you see, the site performing more and better, are you getting or are you revisiting the price points that you're charging your advertisers? Have you started raising them, especially with the newsletter, with the success? Have you adjusted prices as the site does better and better each month?
I have not. I don't have a good reason why not. Laziness.
Yeah, sure. It's not abnormal at all. Sometimes people or owners are somewhat leery because they don't want their advertisers to go away. But I know you said that you do actually have a wait list.
Yes.
As far as advertisers go. Can you say anything about that? We're on the revenue page.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a list of maybe 5 or so who companies that have been inquired. I get maybe 1 or 2 a month that come in through the contact us page. That's to ask for kind of the term sheet for advertising on the site. So I always let them know, that hey, we do have some space in the newsletter only right now that we're growing. Technically, I guess I do have a place on the site. If you're looking at it, it's on the left-hand side. You could flesh out, equal space for. Actually, you could add as many ads as you want, especially since it's not the user. Generally, our advertisers are not paying for clicks. Since we do a flat rate, they understand that it's flat rate. They're getting a lot of impressions. That's worked out great so far, since we're the only opportunity that's aggregating Moodle-related news that's not limited to only Moodle partners, which is a nuance that's probably a little bit more difficult to understand. But in a sense, there's not a lot of opportunity for people who are selling Moodle, which are not authorized to sell Moodle, except for Moodle News. So it's Moodle tightly controls kind of its service mark, which is the ability to provide hosting or to do customization of sites or to build themes, for example. They really tightly control that, and now there is a growing number of Moodle partners worldwide. But that being said, there's a lot of non-Moodle partners who are in the business of Moodle. So they're selling this stuff. They're doing it. It's kind of this kind of back channel, or they're doing it unofficially, but they're still making good money. They're supporting universities and colleges nationwide and worldwide. And a lot of them are contributing to the Moodle community as well. They're just not partners. Those organizations don't have any means except for their own marketing to kind of get out. So they can go and do CPCs, or they can go do paid advertising on other sites, but there's no other Moodle sites that have advertising, really. So this becomes kind of an outlet for, since we're aggregating content, we're also able to aggregate a lot of those organizations that are interested in it. Now, that being said, we also have we do have Moodle partners that come to us and want to advertise on us as well. So that's been kind of a big plus. So we have a number of advertisers that often come, whether they're offering officially or unofficially Moodle-related services. They're just looking for a way to kind of connect. We also have advertisers that offer plugins for Moodle, so they're not doing hosting, they're not doing development for Moodle, but they offer something that's a tool that can be used in Moodle, and that's extremely relevant to the audience, and I think we provide a really good way for them to kind of get that information out. so that people are exposed that there are these tools, that you can pay for these tools. They improve your experience with Moodle, and that's been good as well.
Perfect. And it looks like, that directly relates to this revenue screen. Looks like your revenue has just continued consistently to climb pretty steadily since basically since 2013.
Yeah, and I would say that the main revenue driver here is we're looking at the newsletter. So since I haven't gone back and asked for more revenue from our advertisers, we have a really, really low churn for actual advertisers on the site. I think I've had 2 drop in the history of the site, and those were I always have the waiting list, so it's immediately has been immediately filled. So that really has not been a problem. But so the revenue growth here is the newsletter.
Question: how's your relationship with those advertisers? Do you think that they could handle a raise in price? Would they accept it, do you think?
I don't think anybody's ever happy with a price raise.
Right.
But that being said, like I said, I think we have their trust that they're getting play. A lot of asked to do sponsored posts and stuff like that, something I've not done in the past.
Right.
So they are certainly hungry for additional opportunities to get their name out, whether it be in the newsletter through a sponsored newsletter or something like that, or one of the ideas I had before, but really just never kind of acted on it, was pay for leads. So do a newsletter release, just an advertising addition to in partnership with one of the advertisers, and get paid for each of the leads that signs up for that webinar that they're doing. I think that would be.
Yeah.
I think that you would get takers, and I think that the advertisers would be keen on that too, because you have a hot lead. You have somebody you're getting notified, they're signing up for information. It really becomes the cost of acquiring that potential customer is pretty low, because it's just you're dealing with one dude running a newsletter.
Absolutely. All right. And expenses, looks like we had a little spike lately in October's.
Yes, that is an annual hosting fee from Bluehost.
Okay, so this is a one-time fee.
Yeah, it's $299 a year that I spend for the pro level hosting for Bluehost.com.
Otherwise, expenses are just
low. And actually, namely, we're looking at how much I was paying the guy doing the newsletter, which goes to show too much.
All right. So tell us about the day-to-day operation. What's required? How many hours a day? How many hours a week you put into it?
Sure. So I'll tell you what. This morning was pretty typical of a day, and I'll just use Wednesday because it's my newsletter day of what it will be. But Monday, obviously, we're not putting on newsletters, so it's only the morning part. But I wake up about an hour earlier than I need to report to work, and then I just jump on the computer. Last night I had a couple tabs open that were Moodle related, so turn those into posts. It depends on how quick of a reader you are and how quick to kind of gut check you think it would be interested for your users, but takes maybe anywhere between 5 minutes to 20 minutes to write a post. Try to write at least a post every morning to get some news out. Generally, spend 45 minutes or so on it, and with any time remaining between that and my first call, we'll go through my feed reader to look at additional posts for the next day. And anything, if I have some spare time, I might jump on Twitter and look for additional posts or something like that. Like today, I found that there's a free guide to using Moodle 2.7, which is not the most recent release, but is a pretty recent release of Moodle. It's several, maybe 100 pages or so, but it's definitely something that the readership would be interested in. So that's the prime example of a post for tomorrow. I would imagine it's going to take me less than 10 minutes to get that posted. I'll flip through the PDF, make sure it's relevant, make sure it's not like a totally crappy resource. But once that's verified, it's really not difficult to kind of say like, I'll walk you through the post process, but here's a title of the post, here's a free guide for Moodle 2.7, download it, and then have a post, here's a Moodle 2.7 is one of the most recent releases. There are new features involved. Maybe put a bullet list of like 2 to 3 new features, and then provide a little kind of context, like what's the source of the download, who created it, and then just say, if you want to download it, go to this link and provide a picture probably of the cover page, and then they're done. Like, that's as simple as it is. That's the content that the audience is used to. That's really typical of kind of the posts I do. Hopefully you don't think I'm totally lazy, but that's generally what it is. Maybe I'll do another post where I find a video, like I said, created in the last week, watch the video. If the video is like less than 5 minutes, that's even better, because I know I'm going to get more engagement out of a shorter video rather than like one that's an hour and a half long. And then get those 2 posts. You get one scheduled maybe an hour and a half after the original one goes, and that's done. So, and then tonight I'll spend maybe 40 minutes going through all the analytics of our the posts over the last week, and that will be, I'll plug that information and pictures into the newsletter and get that queued for tomorrow morning.
Great. So sum it up to basically be an hour a day.
I'll spend, yeah. I would say that not to discount that, I use Moodle in my daily work and have done so since 2007. So, there probably is a learning curve in terms if you've never been exposed to it. But that being said, there's a lot of information and keywords to look for in terms of like finding new information or just following, the kind of recipe for templatized information, like posting videos or stuff like that. Those are really easy. And Moodle is not difficult to get set up. It's as easy as a WordPress. So anybody with basic computer skills, I think, would be able to kind of figure things out to try it out and become at least a novice user, which actually may be even better for the site, because I often overlook a lot of like really interesting things. If you go to Moodle conferences, my conference presentations, the ones that I've done in the past, are probably way higher level than the people who should be my audience, especially for like a Moodle news related sites. I tend to hit a kind of I'm talking at probably not the right level of the audience.
Okay. All right, so that's good. And then site growth, you kind of talked about it throughout the presentation, but just quickly, what your future expectations are if you were to keep ownership?
If I were to keep ownership, yeah. I mean, you're probably looking at everything that I've mentioned in terms of like adding a couple more ad spots on the site, stuff like that. But like I said, it's not. I think the growth is inhibited by as much time as I have, but it's also inhibited, like, I'm just not. Right now, it just works. Like it's. I think that there is opportunity to grow, but it's like It's not a huge opportunity to. It's not something I really have been like actively seeking out, because all those things take a little bit of time, which I'd much rather just spend kind of doing the posts. That's the easy part for me. Working through contracts or working through or paying somebody to do some ads that rotate or something like that, which would make a lot of more opportunity for advertising. Those are things that I think would be really beneficial. Having rotating ads rather than static ads on the site might be might be much better in terms of like bringing on multiple times the number of advertisers that I have now. Not to mention including also like Google banner ads. No, we don't do AdSense or anything like that right now. And I think that there's a lot of growth opportunity for the newsletter. Right now, we've been using it just as like a summary of the week before, and it really was kind of to kind of fill in a gap that was introduced with the closure of Google Reader. But like I said, as an opportunity to work with the current advertising partners to do like lead generation and stuff like that, that could be pretty huge. I don't know of a lot of sites that have 1,600 people who opted in to hear about a specific enterprise product. Sure. That are not tied to a specific company. So there's opportunity where, it might do like a webinar for, we have How to Moodle, which is a partner for training. We have another group that makes a plugin specifically for course analytics, which both of those super hot topics in terms of like e-learning right now, especially for Moodle. So both might be ripe for kind of reaching out. Those are some of the things I would do. That and I think that there's an opportunity to. It hasn't yet been done. There are a few organizations now starting to scratch the surface. But if anybody's familiar with kind of the WordPress ecosystem, there are a lot of developers selling plugins for WordPress, and a lot of people make a real healthy living just selling, kind of the plugins for WordPress. Not selling WordPress, just selling, extending it. That has not happened in the Moodle community, but they're very similar in terms of open source communities. So a marketplace, or like if you were to pay a developer, or if you are a developer, if you were to develop a theme that has features that nobody else has, you could just put a PayPal page up and sell that through the site, like just based on the traffic that you're generating now, especially if it's like, these are the things that get me a little bit excited, because it's like you could crowdsource kind of ideas for what the product might be and then sell it, because you already have the audience. It's just that there's no, the storefront is empty right now. So, those are things I've kind of had in the back of my mind for a long time, but I'm not a developer. I'd much rather, I like the money in my PayPal more than I like paying somebody to take it out.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, certainly newsletter optimization and monetization is perfect, as well as sponsored posts and all the other things. I think there's a lot of potential here. So why are you selling it? You kind of touched on it a little bit. Just kind of give us a little synopsis of why you want to get rid of such a nice site. Sure.
I need to learn something other than Moodle. Otherwise, I think I'm going to one, I might go crazy, but I think that for job prospects, I need to get better into learning analytics. So, my top on my list right now is there's a bunch of free MOOCs to go and take, retake a stats course. My job, I may use Moodle, but I'm leading a whole team of academic staff, and we're using online learning management systems and whatnot, that really kind of talk the talk, walk the walk. But I need to know more stuff, and so I need to spend my hour a day extra. I don't have a lot of time. This time has been, the rest of the time is all filled in by other obligations. So I need some personal development time beyond just Moodle.
Yeah, perfect. So looks like I asked all the questions. I got them all in during the presentation. I just want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank you, Joe. Great job. Your site has a lot of potential, and it's doing well right now, and I think we're going to get a lot of interest in it. If you have any questions, those attending, you want to see more, you want a detailed prospectus, please email me, eric@latonas.com. That's ERIC@latonas.com, or call me direct. 678-629-2870, and I can provide my Skype as well if that is an easier way that you'd like to communicate. So again, thanks everyone for attending, and thank you, Joe, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.